The small town of Willow Creek buzzed with whispers, and I was at the center of them. My wife, Clara, had been distant for months, her smiles forced, her eyes avoiding mine. I thought it was stress from her new job at the law firm, but the truth unraveled at the annual town picnic. Under the shade of an old oak, I overheard her laughing with a group of colleagues, her voice sharp as she said, "He's just not enough for me." The words hit like a punch, and the crowd's stifled gasps confirmed I wasn't imagining it. She didn't know I was nearby, but the sting of betrayal burned deep. I stood frozen, the plate of potato salad in my hand forgotten. Clara's colleagues exchanged awkward glances, but she carried on, oblivious to the weight of her words. She painted me as a man who couldn't keep up with her ambitions, her charm, her life. I'd spent years supporting her, working double shifts so she could chase her dreams, cooking dinners when she stayed late at the office. Yet here she was, dismantling our marriage in front of strangers. My chest tightened, but I stayed silent, slipping away before she could see me. Later that evening, the picnic took a turn I couldn't ignore. The firm's senior partner, Mr. Hargrove, a man with a slick smile and a reputation for power plays, held court near the bonfire. Clara, wine glass in hand, laughed too loudly at his jokes. Then, in a moment that felt like slow motion, she perched herself on his lap, her arm draped casually over his shoulder. The crowd hushed, eyes darting between them and me, standing at the edge of the firelight. I didn't react. I couldn't. My heart was a storm of anger and shame, but I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of a scene. The drive home was silent. Clara didn't mention her words or her actions, and I didn't ask. In our bedroom, she hummed softly, as if nothing had changed, while I lay awake, replaying the night. Her betrayal wasn't just in her words or that brazen display, it was in the ease with which she dismissed me. I'd built my world around her, but she'd outgrown it, or maybe she'd never truly fit. By morning, I made a choice. I wouldn't confront her yet. I needed to understand why she felt I wasn't enough, and whether I could still be enough for myself. Days turned into weeks, and I watched Clara closely. She spent more time at the office, her phone buzzing late into the night with messages she didn't explain. I started piecing things together, her late hours, the way Hargrove's name slipped into her stories too often. I wasn't a fool, the signs were clear. But instead of rage, I felt a strange calm. I began focusing on myself, hitting the gym, reconnecting with old friends, even taking up woodworking again. The man Clara described wasn't me, and I'd prove it, not to her but to myself. Clara noticed the shift. She'd ask why I was out so much, her tone edged with suspicion, as if I were the one hiding something. I didn't argue, I just kept building, carving out a life that didn't revolve around her approval. One night, she came home late, her perfume mixed with a faint whiff of cigar smoke, Hargrove's signature. I didn't confront her. Instead, I asked about her day, my voice steady. She faltered, her eyes searching mine for a hint of accusation, but I gave her none. I was done playing the wounded husband. The turning point came at a firm dinner I was invited to, a rare gesture. Hargrove was there, his hand lingering on Clara's back as they mingled. She avoided my gaze, but I didn't shrink away. I chatted with her colleagues, shared stories, even made them laugh. For the first time in months, I felt like myself again, not the man she'd diminished, but the one I'd forgotten. Clara watched, her expression unreadable. Later, as we drove home, she asked why I seemed so different. I smiled and said, maybe I'm just finding out what I'm worth. By spring, the rumors had shifted. People no longer whispered about Clara's words or her moment with Hargrove. They talked about me, how I'd rebuilt myself, how I carried on with quiet strength. Clara moved out soon after, citing space as her reason. I didn't fight it. The house felt lighter without her, and I filled it with new projects, new plans. The town still talked, but now it was about my resilience, not my failure. I wasn't enough for Clara, but I was more than enough for the life I was building, one where betrayal no longer defined me.